It's no secret there are some rare Pokemon in Pokemon Go, and many of these Pokemon are no longer available. But I have a question for you. Do you own any of these Pokemon? Well, today we're going to be going through 9 of the rarest Pokemon in Pokemon Go that are currently available. You could currently get them, but you probably won't. Nonetheless, let's get into number 1, which is going to be a wild, non-event unknown spawn. Yes, the Pokemon Unknown normally spawns during events like GoFest, Sinnoh Tour, and other special events in Pokemon Go. But did you know that you could just be walking down your street on a random day and an Unknown spawns? Word on the street is there is a 1 in 65,000 chance of different spawn points in the world having the chance to spawn an Unknown. This Unknown could be any letter, and I don't believe it could be shiny. I've never heard of somebody getting a random wild shiny Unknown during a non-event, but it is easily one of the rarest spawns you could find in the wild. It makes me think that catching every single Unknown letter before GoFest became a thing was probably almost impossible, and that's why it takes the number 1 spot. By the way, these are not in any particular order, but let me know which one you think is the rarest. Number 2, and actually a recently new one, PhD Pikachu. There's a lot of rare costume Pikachus in Pokemon Go, but I would argue that Professor PhD Pikachu is probably the rarest one. Recently added into Pokemon Go, the only way to get this Pikachu is by winning 100 Pokestop showcases. Yes, you know the showcases that are always filled up and there's always somebody beating you? Well, you have to win 100 of those, and if you do, you will get an encounter with a PhD Pikachu, as you can see right here. Yeah, I've got a long way to go. Now, although this PhD Pikachu doesn't require luck, it is still very rare because it takes a lot of effort to go ahead and win, because winning 100 showcases is no easy feat. Also, you could argue there is luck because there's clearly some people in certain areas who have a huge advantage in showcases. I'm talking to you, rural players. I'm kind of jealous. I would even argue if you had a Hundo PhD Pikachu, that could be one of the rarest Pikachus in Pokemon Go that is currently available, because damn, is that thing hard to get. And that moves us on into our number 3 spot, which is going to be a Pokemon that I've wanted for a while, a Shundo Shadow Pokemon. Now, back in the day, Shundo Shadows were super rare, but recently they have gotten a little bit less rare. So let's talk about the 3 different types of Shundo Shadows you can go ahead and get. First of all, probably the easiest Shundo Shadow to get is going to be a Shundo Shadow Legendary from a Shadow Legendary raid. The odds of a shiny Legendary are going to be 1 in 20, and the odds of a Hundo from one of those raids with the IV floor of 666 is going to be 1 in 1,000, giving the total odds of this Pokemon 1 in 20,000, which is rare and hard to get because you have to do a lot of raids, but not as rare as the other ones. The second rare Shundo Shadow you can go ahead and get is going to be a Shundo Shadow from a team leader. From a lot of testing, it's been seen that team leader shiny shadow odds are 1 in 64. So multiplying that by the 1 in 4,000 odds of getting a Hundo from a leader, you're looking at a odds of around 1 in 262,000 of getting a Shundo Shadow. And I've seen people get it, it's pretty insane. But arguably the rarest Shundo Shadow you could get is actually from a Grunt. And that is because from a lot of testing, it's been seen that Grunt's shiny shadows are not boosted odds, and it is full odds to get a shiny shadow Pokemon from a Grunt. That means you have a 1 in 500 odds of getting a shiny shadow from a Grunt, and you're having to multiply that by the 1 in 4,000 odds of getting a Hundo. You're looking at a 1 in 2 million chance of getting a Shundo Shadow from a Grunt, making it one of the rarest Pokemon you could currently get right now. Man, the things I would do for a Shundo Shadow. Nonetheless, that moves us into the next one, which is going to be one that you actually surprisingly might have, but also I'd be surprised. And that's going to be a Salazzle. Yes, the Pokemon Salazzle in the Pokedex you might think is a very easy Pokemon to get. You hatch Salandit from 12-kilometer eggs, you evolve it, wait. You can't evolve every single Salandit. And that's because Salandit can only evolve if it's a female. Who made that up? The odds of hatching a female Salandit are actually 12%, and the odds of actually hatching a Salandit from a 12-kilometer egg in the first place is only 9%. Throw on top of that the only way to get 12-kilometer eggs is to defeat leaders, which is kind of annoying, and you gotta spend a lot of money if you wanna really grind it out. The odds of actually having a Salazzle in Pokemon Go are pretty rare. Somehow I've actually managed to hatch 2 female Salandits, but yeah, I spent a lot of money on 12-kilometer eggs. Nonetheless, that is why it is in the number 4 slot. But let's move on to number 5. And I would actually argue out of all the Pokemon we're gonna talk about today, this is probably the one that I would be most hyped to encounter. And that's gonna be a wild Uxie, Azelf, or Mesprit. Now, obviously we know we have seen wild legendaries in Pokemon Go before during the tour events. We had the wild legendary beast Raikou, Entei, and Suicune during the Johto tour. We had wild Latios and Latias during the Hoenn tour. And just recently, during the Sinnoh tour, we saw wild Uxie, Azelf, and Mesprit. But did you know, during non-event times, you could actually encounter a wild Uxie, Azelf, or Mesprit somewhere around the world? Rumor has it has the exact same odds of spawning as a wild Unown, with 1 in 65,000 chance of spawning at each spawn point. However, To throw on top of that, Niantic have actually capped the amount that can spawn every single day, meaning that it's theorized that only 10 to 20 Uxie, Azelf, and Mesprit spawn around the world every single day for 30 minutes, making it one of the hardest Pokemon to find in the wild during a non-event time. Yes, I know, you probably encountered plenty of these in the wild during the Sinnoh tour, but again, finding one during a non-event time is one of the most rare occurrences that could ever happen in Pokemon Go. If you've ever encountered a wild Lake Guardian, you know it literally changes your life. Maybe that's a bit dramatic. But it's still cool. Nonetheless, I'm moving to the next one, which is gonna be one you're really gonna have to work hard for, and that's going to be Shiny Pikachu Libre. You see, Pikachu Libre, similar to the Professor PhD Pikachu, is a Pikachu you can get in Pokemon Go, but arguably one of the rarer ones because you have to work really hard for it. The only way you can get a Pikachu Libre is actually by reaching Legend rank, which Legend rank requires you to battle rigorously and every single day, win a lot of battles, don't lose. If you wanna see my journey of reaching Legend, check it out up here, because yeah, it wasn't easy. Nonetheless, there's only been 18 seasons of Pokemon Go, and every single season you can have up to one encounter with a Pikachu Libre when you hit Legend, if you hit Legend, making this one of the hardest Pikachus to get in Pokemon Go because not anyone to get it. You actually need to have skills in Pokemon Go PvP. Now granted, Pikachu Libre is a pretty boosted shiny odds Pokemon. It's rumored to have a 1 in 20 shiny odds similar to legendary Pokemon, just because like it would be like impossible to get. But still, this is a super rare Pokemon to get. And again, you can only get one encounter with it every single 3 months, which is insane. I've even heard of people getting Shundo Pikachu Libres, which is just taking it up a level. Although it's not a Pokemon that just requires pure luck, it is still very hard to get, still very rare to get, and most people don't have one. But what most people might have is the next one, Larvesta. See, Larvesta was added into Pokemon Go in 2023 through a pretty stupid event where it was put into eggs. Larvesta instantly became one of the rarest egg hatches you can get in Pokemon Go, having a less than 1% chance to hatch from eggs. Although it was spread across 2, 5, and 10 kilometer eggs and was easily accessible to try and get it, people were spending thousands of dollars on incubators to try to hatch as many eggs as they can with no avail. I've actually ended up hatching like 5 Larvestas because I've been hatching eggs non-stop since it was released. Like literally I'm always fully incubated. But if you're a casual player or someone who doesn't play much, don't bet your buckets that you're gonna be hatching a Larvesta anytime soon. On top of that, Larvesta takes 400 candies to evolve into its evolution, Volcarona. So even if you end up hatching one, you need to spend a bunch of rare candies on the Larvesta to even get the evolution. It's been in the game for almost over a year now, and it is still easily the rarest hatch Pokemon. And I don't know if it'll ever even become more accessible. I'd be very curious to see what Niantic does with Larvesta. Are they ever gonna start dropping in the wild? But for now, it is easily one of the rarest Pokemon. However, you can still get it if you try. However, one Pokemon that not everybody's gonna have access to is gonna be the next one, Goldengo. Goldengo was released into Pokemon Go on February 27th, 2023 by evolving a Gimmighoul for 50 candies, or so you thought. You see, to actually evolve Gimmighoul into Goldengo, you would need to get 1,000 Gimmighoul coins in Pokemon Go. Now you get Gimmighoul coins from spinning Golden Lure modules, and you get Golden Lure modules by having a Nintendo Switch. If you would connect your Nintendo Switch to your Pokemon Go app, you could send yourself a coin bag, which you could open every single day, once a day, and you'll have Gimmighoul spawning while you have that coin bag active. Then if you send 5 coin bags 5 days in a row, you'll get a Golden Lure module, which you can drop, and for 30 minutes, people can spin that Pokestop to get Gimmighoul coins. Now, the drop rate wasn't bad from Golden Lure modules, and you actually do get a decent amount of Gimmighoul coins. But again, remember, you need to get 1,000 Gimmighoul coins to evolve it into Goldengo. Unless you and your local community work on creating something called a Golden Lure module party, where multiple people drop Golden Lure modules in a loop and you can quickly spin those Pokestops and grind them for 30 minutes, getting Goldengo for the average player is almost impossible. On top of that, you have to remember this Pokemon is a pay to get Pokemon because you need to have a Nintendo Switch to be able to get the coin bag in the first place. Again, might not be as luck-based as some of the other Pokemon in Pokemon Go, but it is easily one of the hardest Pokemon to get in Pokemon Go because it requires a lot of effort and a lot of planning. But the final Pokemon on our list is going to be one that you just gotta pray to Jesus to try to get this one. And that's going to be Galarian Birds. If you've been playing Pokemon Go in the last 2 years, you know how annoying these things are. Galarian Articuno, Galarian Moltres, and Galarian Zapdos are easily one of the rarest Pokemon you can currently catch in Pokemon Go. The way you get them is every single day, you'll get a 15-minute adventure incense that you can go ahead and use. Off of this daily adventure incense, there is a minuscule chance that a Galarian bird spawns. So yeah, it's pretty rare, but you forgot about their catch rate. You see, Galarian birds have a 0.3 base catch rate in Pokemon Go, which is the lowest in the game. On top of that, if you do not catch them on their first ball, they have a 90% flee rate, which means most of the time, the Galarian bird is gonna be gone after that first throw. So not only do you need to have a super insane luck chance to find this Pokemon, but you also need to be super lucky and try your best to hit a golden raspberry Ultra Ball excellent throw with extra sauce. I don't know, you gotta be insanely lucky. I've only ended up catching 2 Galarian birds, or maybe 3 in my lifetime, but again, I've been using my daily adventure incense every day and play way more than the regular player, and most of the regular players probably don't have a single Galarian bird. Now, I will say they have made Galarian birds a little bit easier to get. You can now use Roar of Time to freeze your daily adventure incense and have daily adventure incense for longer than 15 minutes a day, increasing your odds of finding one. And also, we do have access to 2 Master Balls now in Pokemon Go that you can go ahead and use and guarantee a catch on it. But overall, Galarian birds have to be probably one of the rarest Pokemon you can currently catch in Pokemon Go. And if you have one, I salute you. Guys, that is 9 rare Pokemon in Pokemon Go. If you enjoyed this video, click the one below. You're gonna enjoy that one as well. Follow for more tips. Peace.